Okay friends, for the last step of our project, we're gonna be coloring it in. Now I'm just gonna get my crayons. These are different crayons than what you have at home. You might have some Crayola crayons and that's fine. All that matters is that you've got something to color with. If you have markers and you would rather color this in with markers, then you certainly may do that as well. If you want to paint this in, you can paint this in. Whoops. Also, if you'd like to paint. If you don't have paints at home and all you have is crayons, just use whatever coloring materials you have at home. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick out some colors that I like. My favorite color is violet, so I'm gonna choose one of them to be violet. This pink color is very bright, so I'm gonna choose that. I also like blue and red. And then I think for the center of my flower, I want to make it yellow, so I'll grab my yellow and maybe orange. Okay, so I'm gonna put these colors over here because I'm not using them right now. And I'm gonna put them back into my box because I'm not using them right now, so they need to be put away. Okay, I'm gonna put that over there. Okay, so I'm gonna start with orange. And I think I'm gonna color in this petal orange. Now, my friends, when you're coloring in and you're coloring with crayons, you don't wanna hold your crayons super hard, because if you hold them super hard and color in, holding it and pressing down as hard as you can, you're gonna break your crayons. So you need to be gentle when you're coloring. Now, if you want your crayon color to be darker, you can press down a little bit more, but you don't need to press down so hard that it could break. That's not what you want. See, I pressed down just a little bit harder and it made it darker. I'm not pressing down very much, just enough. And if you press down too hard and you break your crayon on accident, that's okay. Your crayon will still work. You just have to color with a broken one instead, and broken crayons still color. It's a good thing about having crayons. So color in one petal a different color. So, because they always look kind of fun when we color them in multiple colors. So a nice rainbow colored flower, but each petal should be one color. Okay, so that's one color. I think I'm gonna use red next. Oops. And it's okay if you don't color it in the lines very well. Just do your best to stay inside the lines. So that might mean that you need to slow down with your coloring. If you're coloring too fast to where you're scribbling instead of actually coloring, stop what you're doing and slow down so that you don't go outside of your lines. It's important that we're trying to be neat with our coloring, that we don't scribble scrabble and we don't color outside of our lines, because that's not going to make our picture look that great. Now, if you color outside your lines a little bit, that's okay. Miss Otnery still colors outside the lines a little bit. But we don't want to scribble over our entire paper with one color, because then that's not going to look as cool as if we do it this way. And I know sometimes we might want to color all over our paper because it looks neat. And, you know, we'll give opportunities to do that. But, you know, this project, we're not really scribbling outside the lines on this project. So maybe we should try to slow our coloring down and color the right way. So now I have blue. This is a really good blue. Blue is blue. It's nice blue. Now remember, Miss Autenrieth can color really fast. And the reason Miss Autenrieth can color really fast is because she's an art teacher. And she's been coloring for a really long time. Way longer than some of you might think. So we are going to slow down on our coloring and do a really good job. And I know somebody's going to ask me, well, how long have you been coloring? Well, I've been coloring for, well, probably about 30 years I've been coloring. So, and you guys are like 5. So Miss Autumnwraith can color really, really well because she's had a lot of practice. And when you have a lot of practice in coloring, you can color faster too. But we haven't had, you know, you guys haven't had as much time as Miss Autumnwraith has at coloring. Plus it's her job to color, kind of. All right, so we're gonna keep coloring. I want you guys to notice, as I color in my petals, I try to keep my crayon coloring the same direction the entire time that I am inside that petal. So this color, this crayons, you can see I'm coloring the same way each time inside of there. So I'm not changing the direction, I'm not scribbling all over. I'm trying to stay the same direction as I'm coloring into my shapes. And that's another important part about coloring, is you color the same direction. And you might have a little bit of a struggle with that. And you know what? That's okay. You'll learn how to do that as we go, as we practice. So that pink wasn't a very dark pink, but it's still nice. All right, and then I got my last one here, which is going to be my violet color. Ooh, that's a good violet. Now, if you guys notice, I have a paint mat underneath my paper. And the reason I have a paint mat underneath my paper is because sometimes I draw all the way to the edge of my paper, and you notice sometimes I color off my paper. And when you color off the edge of your paper, it gets on whatever's underneath it. So it might be a good idea to get a mat that you can put underneath your paper when you're coloring. Another piece of paper that's bigger than your paper that you're coloring will be helpful. Also would be helpful if Miss Autumnwraith slowed down on her coloring, and I wouldn't do that as much if I slowed down. Okay, and then the last part is my center circle part. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to get bigger, coloring around, and then we'll do our background. Okay, so now we have that. Okay, so the last part is our background. And I don't know about you guys, but I think I'm gonna pick a color I haven't used in the background. Now this is a flower, so flowers would be outside, so maybe we should choose green for our background. I think that would be a good idea. Okay, so in these open spaces here, I'm going to color in green, and I'm going to do it carefully so that I don't go outside my edge. Now, I did a little trick there. To help you stay inside your lines, you color very, very slowly around the shape that you're coloring in. Okay, so it's kind of like an outline. And then you can color quickly inside of it, and you don't go overlapping the colors that you're not trying to overlap. So it helps you stay inside of the lines that you're coloring, because you slow down to where you can see what you're coloring and how you're coloring it. Okay. All right, I'm going to keep going all the way around. You see how that makes a difference with those colors? It makes everything stand out when you do your background. And I'm not asking you guys to do this perfectly. Of course, like I said, I've been coloring for a really long time, so it's okay if it's not perfect. Miss Ottenreith is not looking for you to be perfect. She's looking for you to try your very, very best. And whatever you can do, that is fine with me, as so long as it is your best work that you can do. And here's the best thing about art. The more we do art, the more we practice art, the better we're going to get at it. So it's okay if your first art project isn't perfect. And I'm okay with that. All right, so a good thing to remember, friends, is when you're done with something, you put it away. So I'm putting my crayons away, and I'm closing my crayon box, and I'm gonna put that away where it belongs. I have my marker that I use, put that away where it belongs, and my other markers that I use. And then I have my other paper, I'm gonna put that away where that belongs. And then this I can put either on the refrigerator or in my folders after I take a picture of it and submit it to me, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do with it. Well, I don't really need to turn it into myself, but I need you guys to take a picture of this and submit it to me, which I do have an instructional video for you in the quiz section. So that's where this is supposed to go and where it says quiz this week, okay? All right, guys, I love you. I'm happy you're here. Have a great day.